Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the Saturday NFL wildcard picks for Draftkings and Fanduel. We have 3 games for each day, so it's going to be fun to have a football-filled weekend, all afternoon football going from 1 o'clock to like 11 p.m. So, can't wait for it. Let's get started with the picks. As always, appreciate you guys hit the like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out the website, dfsprocess.net, if you want to join. Check out the Twitter at the DFS Process for updates and just to stay more in touch. And let's get started. We have a couple of fun games here on the first day of playoffs on Saturday. The first game has the highest total of the three, the Colts and the Buffalo Bills. Bills are my pick to head to the Super Bowl. I think they have a decent chance to do that, and they are. You can get them at a pretty good number. They're facing off against a Colts team that has also played pretty good football this season, mainly relying on Jonathan Taylor in the last few weeks. They have also had a couple of resurgent games from T.Y. Hilton in the second half, but definitely think the Bills are just going to be able to pile up some points. They have a couple of questionable receivers, but they both should play, especially Diggs. I have no problem with Diggs playing. He should be suiting up tonight or tomorrow afternoon, and then same thing with Cole Beasley. Second game, you have the Rams and the Seahawks. You don't really know who the Rams are going to go with as their quarterback. They haven't announced if Jared Goff is going to start or not. And that is going to just be scary. I don't want to play a quarterback that has a bum thumb. And it's going to be tough not if we don't know if he's going to play or not by the time the first game locks, to see if we want to target any of the wide receivers, because it's going to be a pretty big difference if Goff is going to play or not, for like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. And then the last game, I do think the Tampa Bay side, you can get some pieces, especially if Mike Evans misses, then you can really load up on like Antonio Brown, who's come alive the past few weeks. You have Gronk is going to get more targets, Godwin's going to get more targets. So just taking out one piece of that offense, like Evans, if he happens to sit, just makes the other guys look so much better, especially with how good Tom Brady has thrown the football the past few weeks. So, looking at the quarterback position here, you have Josh Allen at 7,500. I really don't care about the other options. I'm definitely going to be paying up for Josh Allen. I don't think any other quarterback, minus like Tom Brady throwing for like 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, has a similar ceiling to Josh Allen. He just has so much upside with his legs. I don't like how Jared Goff has looked in with his bum thumb. Even if he plays, I won't be interested. Philip Rivers doesn't give you that sort of upside. Alex Smith is dealing with a really bad calf. He said they could even rotate quarterbacks tomorrow, which would be pretty scary for the for both teams, I guess. And then Russell Wilson is 6,600, but he just hasn't looked as crisp and as consistent as Josh Allen has the entire season. Allen gives you a ton of rushing upside. I really have no issue with paying 75 because there are some cheap wide receivers that we can consider. Running backs here, Jonathan Taylor, not too many top 10 running backs for tomorrow, so it makes paying up at quarterback easy. I will definitely go with Jonathan Taylor here because he's just been the workhorse for the team, and also looks like Wilkins is not going to, or looks like he missed the game against the Jags, but looks like he probably will play. They haven't updated, but even if he does play, Jonathan Taylor has just been getting a ton of touches. He got 30 carries last week in a must-win game. He had 18, 20 touches, 20 touches. You're just getting a ton of touches for him. I do think this game is going to be the highest scoring of the three because I do think the Bucks will put up points, but I don't know about Washington. And then kind of tough to see if the Rams will put up points if we don't know if Goff's going to play or not. But I think you can definitely stack up the first game and feel pretty good about it, especially Jonathan Taylor when you don't have that many top end running backs. Then I like Chris Carson. It seems like everybody's playing Cam Akers. Akers just hasn't. He probably will be fine, but he just not been that great. He had lost a fumble near the goal line last week. Average 1.6 yards per carry. Like, he gives you some upside, but if he's going to be the most popular running back, then I think you can go to Chris Carson. His touches might not be as high as Akers, but you just need him to get into the end zone. And Russell Wilson does like to look his way in the passing game, and he'll probably get even more snaps now that they're in the postseason. He was dealing with some injuries during the regular season, so they could have limited his snaps near the end of the year because they already knew they were going to make the playoffs and weren't playing for too much. So I do think I like him quite a bit at 59. Chris Carson is my second favorite running back. The third is going to be Akers, and then the fourth is probably like Ronald Jones. I don't really like to target Zach Moss or Devin Singletary. They're both priced really cheap, so If you wanted to pick one, it would be Singletary for me, but I don't think you need to go that cheap. Wide receivers here, you have Stephon Diggs at 7,700. He has been amazing this entire season. He has, I think he's leading the league in catches with 127, or led the league in catches in the regular season, and just getting a ton of double-digit target games. Now, some of that was with John Brown missing a bunch of games. John Brown is 4,700, and he also gives you a lot of upside because he can break off a long gain, or can catch a long touchdown pass, or a long catch in general. So I do think I want to pair Josh Allen with John Brown. You can even pair him with Diggs too, but I do like the savings that you get on John Brown, and I think he could be a little bit under-owned if everybody's just going to jam in Stephon Diggs. And then between Metcalf and Lockett, I do prefer Lockett this week because we will avoid Jalen Ramsey. And he's just been such a boomer bust play this entire season. He's had a couple, 3 games this season over 30 fantasy points, and then he's had a bunch just below 10. But against the Rams here, he had a 11-point outing in the time that they did play. So hopefully he had 11 point and then 7. So nothing crazy. But in the playoffs with Metcalf being guarded by Ramsey, I definitely prefer Lockett. I do like Terry McLaurin's price tag at 63. Just going to get a lot of targets for the team. He can break off a long catch as well if they do take a deep shot. We know Tampa Bay secondary isn't great. They're going to be able to stop Gibson on the ground just because they're so good against the rush. So I do think you can look to Terry McLaurin. Right now, I'm just avoiding Woods and Cooper Kupp until we know who's going to be the quarterback. I definitely think you can go to Antonio Brown here at 6,100. Even if Mike Evans plays, he still looks like a fine option. He's just been getting a lot of targets recently, and just going to be out there on the field. It gives them so much upside here. Should be out there in all 3 wide receiver sets, maybe even get a couple snaps over Mike Evans if he's going to be limited, because that was a pretty nasty injury that he suffered last week. I don't think even if he does play that he's going to play 100% of the snaps. So could see a bump for Antonio Brown, and 61 is just too cheap for a guy that has so much talent like him. And then now that John Brown is back in Beasley, Gabriel Davis is the 4th wide receiver, so I don't have too much interest in him. Cam Sims is okay, but I'd rather go to Zach Pascal at 37. And I definitely don't want to take a shot on anybody below 3,000. Another wide receiver that you can look to is T.Y. Hilton at 5K. He has been getting a lot more targets recently, 7, 7, 6, 7, 11 in his past 5 weeks, and it's been super more productive, getting into the end zone 5 times during that span as well. So he looked like a solid option in the 5K range, and McLaurin looks great at 63. Tight end wise, you have Logan Thomas and Gronk. They're the 2 that I'm considering. I don't really want to pick between Higbee and Everett on a playoff slate. I'll probably go to Gronk at 39, hoping that Evans is limited or that he sits this game, because it's just going to make more targets for Gronk here. And then defenses, the Seahawks look great if the Rams start Wolford again. Even if Goff is in, you could still play the Seahawks defense, because Goff is not going to be able to avoid. He could still be hampered by his injury, and he's not mobile, so he's not going to be able to avoid sacks. And the Seahawks were able to get some pressure on quarterbacks this season with 46 sacks. If you have all the cap, then you can go to the Bucks. We're looking at the Bucks defense or the Seattle defense. They're the 2 that I'm considering. And that's it for the DraftKings side. Pretty clear and cut and dry where I want to target on the Saturday slate. Fanduel is very similar, but I'll go ahead and just plug in my guys over there. All right, over on Fanduel quarterbacks, you have Josh Allen. Then you get a $1,000 decrease to Tom Brady, Russell Wilson. Still think Josh Allen is just a play that I want. Just feel great about his upside. Don't have to worry about a low floor like some of these guys here, like Rivers, Jared Goff, Smith. Just think if you wanted to pick between the 3, if you wanted to limit your pool at quarterback, just pick between the top 3. Because I don't see Goff, Rivers, or Smith dropping anything close to what these 3 have upside wise. But Josh Allen is just a front. out of all the quarterbacks on Saturday. Running backs, you have Jonathan Taylor, still going to be a guy that I think is almost not a priority, but he's going to be tough for me not to have because you need a roster 2 running backs, and there's only a few, just like 4 guys that I really like, and Taylor just gives you so many touches that, Jones still has Fournette with him. CARSON, who I do like, but he still has, Carlos Hyde, who can take some work. Cam Akers, 61. Maybe if he struggles really badly, they go to Malcolm Brown. But I definitely think Jonathan Taylor is the play, and then I'll still go back to Chris Carson here at 7,000. And wide receivers here, you have Diggs at 87. Then you have Godwin at 78. Even if Evans plays, I think I would definitely go to Godwin. And then you have Lockett at only 68, so I like him a little bit more than McLaurin on DraftKings. I think McLaurin looks better than Lockett, but FanDuel, only $300 difference, but that could open up some other things, so I think Lockett looks better. I like Antonio Brown at 65, sandwiched in between 2 Rams, who have the 2 green 28s next to 28th. So maybe people go to them. So maybe Brown slips through the cracks a bit, and I think he looks strong at 65. And then John Brown at 57. He's just my favorite cheap receiver of the day. He's going to be out there. Looked good in his return last week. Caught that touchdown pass, and maybe they were being a little bit extra cautious with him because they knew the playoffs were right around the corner. But I feel good about him. He gives you a decent floor, maybe a low floor, but he gives you a really high ceiling just with the big time plays that he can make. And then tight end wise on FanDuel, I think Logan Thomas looks better than Gronk just because he's $400 more. So if I wanted to get a piece of the Washington football team, it would be Logan Thomas on FanDuel at 64. And then Gronk is my second tight end that I'm considering. And then defenses, you have the Seattle Seahawks as the cheapest defense, so they are probably my favorite just with their price tag. And then the Bucks, if you want to pay up a bit. And then the Bills, just because they have some talent. But I don't want to pay 49 for the Rams defense, so I'll probably stick with the Seahawks or the Bucks. I think they both have better spots and better upsides. So that is the quick rundown for Saturday. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and best of luck tomorrow.